People versus Thomas Steffes on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Angela Manarino on behalf of the people.
And on behalf of and Mr. Steffes, you're representing yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that there's a little bit of a backfeed on me. I've got the courtroom that I have live things on, so I can't do anything about it. I apologize. Ms. Manarino, are you ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Go ahead and call your first witness.
Your Honor, the people call James Martinez.
Mr. Martinez, can you raise your right hand? Solemnly swear from testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Manarino.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez, can you state your name for the record, please?
James Robert Martinez Jr.
And Mr. Martinez, I want to draw your attention to the evening of March 23rd of 2020. Do you recall where you were that evening?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend were at the Speedway on Belleville Road, and I believe that's Tyler.
And that's in Van Buren Township?
Yes, ma'am.
Did something happen at that gas station that caused you to call the police?
Yes, when my girlfriend Alexis and I came out of the gas station to get back in our car, she noticed that the defendant was approaching,
I don't want to hit that wing with your ass.
and she hurry up and
You're all right.
and he tried my car door, and I was, caught off guard. Started yelling, get out of the effing car. Started yelling, homophobic slurs, telling me that he was gonna, bite me, beat me up, blah, blah, blah. At this time, my girlfriend called the Van Buren department, and they caught him, at the gas station.
Air's gotta build up, bro.
Mr. Steffes, you either have to mute yourself while he's speaking so that I can't hear you, okay? Because we're hearing background noise from wherever you are. Go ahead, Ms. Manarino.
Your Honor, could the court ask Mr. Steffes to turn his video on for the trial?
Yeah, Mr. Steffes, can you give us a picture so that we can see you, please?
All right, I'm back.
I need you to remove the screensaver so that we have your picture. Just the little X where it has video, you need to undo that from the red. Mr. Steffes, do you understand?
Figure it out, ma'am.
Okay. Should be bottom left if you're on a phone.
You got me now?
Nope. Pretty sure that it should be, if you're on a cell phone, it should be the bottom left.
No, I'm on a tablet. I'm
Oh,
I'm flipping
okay.
back and forth. I don't see nothing on the
You're
bottom.
on a tablet, it should be on the top.
Hit
It
push
should
what
be
now?
right next to it. You know how you just muted yourself? Should be right next to that.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
I know you're unmuted, but there's another button so that we can see you. There's a little camera and you've got to hit that.
right, you can
Perfect.
see
There
me
you
now.
go. You figured it out. You got it.
All right.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Manarino.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Martinez, do you see the individual who you had this altercation with at the Speedway gas station present on the Zoom hearing this morning?
Yes,
Can you identify that person?
it's the defendant.
It's identified.
Thank you,
That's
Your
fine.
Honor.
Any other questions, Ms. Manarino?
Not for this witness.
Okay. Mr. Steffes, do you have any questions of this witness?
Do I have any questions?
Yeah, do you have any questions that you want to ask this gentleman that just testified that you were intoxicated and that you walked up and tried to get into the car at the gas station? Can you please
No, I
quit
wasn't
eating while you're on
intoxicated.
the
I did
Zoom,
not try
Mr.
to get into the car. I was not
Mr.
intoxicated. I did,
Mr. Steffes, I'm gonna
Yes.
ask you to quit eating. Okay, you gotta, this is just like being in court, so you need to stop eating. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, this gentleman, you just heard him testify. Do you want to ask him any questions?
Do but it sure, I'm gonna ask him a question.
Go ahead.
Did you not yell call me out first and yell profanities at me?
I was in my car when
The relevance,
Did
Your
you
Honor.
not pull on the side of Speedway, roll down your window and yell at me when I was 50 yards away, crossing the street to proceed to the next gas station to buy my pack of cigarettes? When I turned around and I yelled, I effing can't hear you.
I'm gonna object to
That's
the.
all I yelled. I turned
Well,
around
I mean, he
and
can
continued
ask
on my way.
he can ask if you're what, he's entitled to cross-examine Ms. Manarino, even though he's not represented, and he's entitled to make a defense if there was the confrontation that was started by the witness. So I'm gonna allow him to ask it.
Did you
Answering the
not call me
question,
out when I was standing 50 yards away from you, sir?
I asked
In your
you,
car with the window rolled down on the side of Speedway underneath the side camera. Did I
asked you
say any
what your
words to
problem-
you?
okay, Mr. Steffes, you
Pardon
gotta
me?
let him answer. Please ask the question, which you did. Now let him answer. Go ahead.
I asked you what your problem was.
Okay, so you called me out first then, correct?
No, that
Did I
is called
speak to you?
out.
No, I was 50 yards away from you, was I or was I not? Crossing the street. At the
You were-
point in time when you yelled
when I
out the
asked
window,
what your
yes or no? Was I 50 yards away from you crossing the street at the point in time when you yelled out the window first? Before I even spoke?
no.
Pardon me?
Okay, so was there a conversation that you had, sir, with the defendant before?
I had no conversation
Was
with
there any
him
conversation?
whatsoever.
Mr. Steffes, please, or I'm gonna mute you. I'm talking to the witness.
Oh,
Was there a time, sir, that you spoke to the defendant before he approached the vehicle?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so whatever exchange happened from your vehicle was after he approached the vehicle and tried to open the door?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Steffes, of this witness?
I'd just like to add that he was yelling profanity.
No, you're gonna have an
about me.
opportunity to speak. This isn't this isn't that time. This isn't the time for
okay.
you to speak. So just,
Oh.
you'll be able to talk when it's your turn. Ms. Manarino, you don't
Okay.
have anything else of this witness?
Not for Mr. Martinez, no.
Go ahead and call your next witness. And Mr. Martinez, you're free to leave or you can stay on the Zoom, whatever your preference is.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, I did just get a message from my office that the other complainant in this matter is having trouble logging into the Zoom right now. So I can take a second and try to get her connected, or I can go forward and call Officer Mowbray.
Go ahead and call the officer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people call Officer Mowbray.
Officer, can you raise your right hand? Soundly swear affirm testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Manarino.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, can you state your name for the record, please?
Curtis Mowbray,
And where are you employed?
the Van Buren Township Public Safety Department.
What do you do there?
I'm a road patrol officer.
How long have you been a road patrol officer?
3.5 years in Van Buren and an additional 4 years in New Mexico.
Were you on duty on the evening of March 23rd of 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
At approximately 11:43 p.m., were you dispatched on a call?
Yes, I was.
What was the location of that call?
Speedway gas station at Belleville and Tyler. I believe it's 9273 Belleville Road.
Did you respond to that call?
Yes, I did.
When you arrived at the Speedway, well, let me ask you this. What was the nature of the call you were dispatched on?
Disorderly subject complaint.
Did you receive any description of the potentially disorderly subject?
Yes, dispatch advised the female caller, believed to be Alexis Calico, advised that a white male subject wearing, I believe, camouflage clothing approached her vehicle, attempted to get into her vehicle, and then her boyfriend, which would be James Martinez, then got into a verbal altercation with the male subject, and the male subject left going southbound towards the Meyer gas station.
When you arrived, did you locate anyone matching the subject description?
Yes, I was going northbound on Belleville, and it's being that I was advised that the white male subject in question was going southbound to the Meyer gas station. I observed a white male subject, matching description, wearing what appeared to be a camouflage jacket in the Meyer gas station parking lot.
Did you have contact with that individual?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to identify that individual?
Yes,
Do you recall the name that he gave you?
Thomas Steffes.
Do you see that person present on the Zoom hearing this morning?
Yes, I do.
Can you identify him for the record?
It'll be the defendant.
Did you have contact with the defendant at the gas station?
At the Meyer gas station, yes.
Did you make any observations about his physical condition?
Yes.
What were those?
I observed him to be intoxicated.
And what led you to conclude that he was intoxicated?
His demeanor, he had a strong odor of alcoholic intoxicants coming from his person, as well as while I was speaking with him, he stated, and I quote, if I may refer to my report, "Oh, a whole bunch, at least a case and a half," when I asked him if he had any type of alcoholic intoxicant or alcohol that he had consumed.
Did Mr. Steffes make any statements to you about any incident that may have happened at the Speedway gas station?
He mentioned that he left his residence, which was on, I believe, Wild Ride Court, across on the west side of Belleville Road. He went to the Speedway gas station to obtain a pack of cigarettes. However, the gas station was closed and the doors were locked, in which he then went to the Meyer gas station to obtain a pack of cigarettes.
I have nothing further for the officer.
Mr. Steffes, do you have any questions for the officer?
No, not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, officer. Ms. Manarino, do you have any other witnesses?
Your Honor, I do have one additional witness. As I indicated, she was having trouble with logging into the Zoom hearing this morning. So if I could have a second, I can call her and get her hooked up.
Yep, that's fine. We'll wait.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, Your Honor, I do have one question for the officer. May I ask?
Yes, go ahead. Officer, you're still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, approximately how many feet away do you think I was from you when you observed the smell of alcohol on me?
I believe we were approximately 3 feet or so. We were
3
multiple distances close and further apart during our conversation.
How many times do you think we were close together when you say multiple points?
It depends on how many times you say that we would be considered close in proximity. Proximity is different for everyone.
Would you say, okay, thank you, that's all I have, Your
All
Honor.
right, Ms. Manarino, go ahead and make the call.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Fasitsu, I have another
Morning.
case in front of you that I'm finishing, and then I have a live exam. So it's gonna be a few. Your case wasn't set till 12:30 or early, but just hang out. Ms.
Okay.
Manarino, I see that your witness is on. You
Yes.
wanna go ahead and call her?
Your Honor, does the court have any objection to dismissing the officer?
No, go ahead, officer. You're all set.
Thank you.
Ms. Calicote, can you raise your right hand? Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Manarino.
Ms. Calico, can you state your name for the record, please?
Alexis Calicote.
And Ms. Calicote, I want to draw your attention to the evening of March 23rd of 2020. Do you recall where you were that evening?
I was at the Speedway parking lot, parked in front of it.
Was anyone else with you that evening?
Yep, James Martinez. He was in my passenger seat.
When you and Mr. Martinez were in your vehicle, did you have contact with any other people?
I did. A gentleman who tried to enter my vehicle.
When you say try to enter your vehicle, what happened?
Well, basically, I had just gotten back into my car from going into Speedway, and I hadn't locked my doors yet, but I did. I was looking in my rear view mirror, and I happened to see a gentleman coming a little too close to my car for comfort. So as he continued to get closer, I decided to lock my doors until he tried to get into my vehicle and was unsuccessful because my car door was locked.
Prior to that time, had you ever had contact with that person before?
No, never met him before in my life.
Prior to him approaching your vehicle, did you have any interaction with him?
No.
After he tried to obtain access to your vehicle, what happens?
James proceeded to roll down the window and basically ask him what he was trying to do. And the guy was cussing back at us, and they just went back and forth.
And as this was happening, how did that make you feel?
I was scared, honestly.
not
I
true.
didn't know what he was going to try and do.
Well,
when he
you know
tried
what?
to
I'm
get
gonna
into my
strike
car.
her answer. Miss Manarino, it's not an assault charge. It's a disorderly intoxication. It doesn't make a difference for purposes of the charge, how it made her feel.
Yes, Your Honor. And
Anything
after,
else from Ms.
No, Your Honor.
Calicote?
no, Your Honor.
Mr. Steffes, do you have any questions that you want to ask her?
Yes, I would.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, when I approached your car, you say I started a conversation with your passenger?
I
front
didn't
of
say
Speedway
that you
under
did that.
the
I
camera.
said you tried to get into my vehicle and he asked you what you were doing.
Did I respond to him in any way, whatever he may have asked me?
Yes, you did. You were screaming back at him.
That's all I have to ask, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Miss Manarino?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for joining, Miss Calicote. You're free to go. Mr. Steffes, any other witnesses, Miss Manarino?
No, Your Honor, the people were
Mr.
asked.
Steffes, do you want to testify?
Oh, yeah, I want to testify.
Can you
Yes,
raise your
ma'am.
right hand? Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Go ahead and tell me what happened.
Yes, I did approach her vehicle and put my hand on the passenger side door handle. I am not denying that. Your Honor, it was the wrong car. I
Okay,
mistaken
okay,
the passenger as
But-
someone I knew.
okay.
And it was right in front of the front door of the Speedway camera. If there's any way to get a hold of that camera, I would like
There's
to.
not at this point. This is months later. We don't have the camera. But Mr. Steffes, were you intoxicated?
No, I was not intoxicated.
So you deny that you told the officer that you had drank more than a
Well, I
case?
told the officer, he asked me how much, the first questions he asked me when he pulled me over walking, which he was probably about 15 feet away from me. He asked me how much we had to drink tonight. I said a case and a half because I thought the whole thing was ridiculous that there was even a phone call. that
So you don't,
officer
well, let me
pulled
stop
over.
you. Mr. Steffes, you deny that you swore at these people or had any kind of,
No,
outburst?
which she told you when I approached, this is what, when I approached the car, I mistaken the car, the passenger, as someone I used to work with a couple of years ago, actually more than a couple of years ago, at the bistro I used to work at on Merriman Road. Okay, he kind of
Okay.
looked like him. That's it. I immediately realized.
So do you
I
know
don't
why
know who
would
these
why
people
would they
are.
lie and say that you were swearing at them? I mean, you don't know them.
No, because no. What happened was when I approached the car, I didn't speak a word to him or her. Period. I continued to walk straight to the front door of Speedway to buy cigarettes, which the door was locked for COVID-19 reasons. I don't know. There were
Right.
so many people allowed in the store. So if I thought I was doing something wrong, why would I walk up?
But
Why
that's
would I
not
walk
the
up to the
question
store
that
and
I asked
continue
you.
on my business?
I asked you why would they make up that you were swearing?
You know, that's why do people make up a lot of things? I'm
Ms.
telling you what
Manarino,
happened after that.
do you have any questions that you want to ask Mr. Steffes?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
I've listened to the testimony. I am gonna find that the people have met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt, and I am gonna find you guilty of this disorderly intoxication, Mr. Steffes. It is a $300 ticket.
Where's the
Pardon?
evidence of me being intoxicated?
Well, I believe the officer and I believe the other two witnesses.
It's
And so
circumstantial.
I'm gonna just give you a fine. I'm not
I
gonna put
was
you on
even
probation.
within 15 feet of the officer when he asked me if I was intoxicated.
I believe
told
the
him I drank
officer
a
that he
case and a
said
half.
that
It
he
was
was
a joke.
closer. So I'm going to fine you in the amount of $300 and the state adds $145. Do you need time to pay that?
No, I don't need no time to pay it. You just pay on the website, correct?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 weeks. So pay it within the next 2 weeks, okay?
Yeah, no problem, Your Honor.
All right, you're all set. Have a good day. Thank you. Thanks, Ms.
Your
Manarino.
Honor,
Yes, Your Honor.
Your
Thank
Honor, I do have one question though,
Yes.
and it doesn't pertain to this case at all. When public records, let's say for an example, if you found me not guilty, that means it would have been dismissed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So therefore, it's
This
still,
disorderly shouldn't prevent you from doing anything, Mr. Steffes. It should not
but when you
negatively
go- when you
affect.
go on your website, even if you get dismissed, it's still a public
Your name still
record. It
shows?
what you- it
On the
shows
website,
what
it
you got
probably
charged.
does.
How
On the
is that fair
website,
to
it
people?
probably does, unless it's a one of the files that like juvenile, there's some things that are not public. But I have other cases I have to do, Mr. Steffes. If you have a particular question about a particular case, you can email us on the website and we'll answer you, okay? Did we lose? I think you're frozen. We lost you. All right, Ms. Manarino, I've got to do a live bench trial with Mr. Seamster. Are we having a hearing on Vasitsu or do you need to talk to him?
I believe we're ready to proceed with the hearing, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to wait. So
Not
I'm gonna put you on pause and you're just gonna have to wait and watch the bench trial.
Thank
All
you, Your
right.
Honor.
Thank you.
Am I muted? Are we done?
You're all set, Mr. Steffes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We need Paula. Let me call up the hall. Tim?
Do you know where the witnesses are waiting in the room next to the other courtroom? Okay, so there's a room with a big number 1 on it, it's right next to the other courtroom down the hall. So when they call the case, if you could run down there, grab Amanda for me, have her come in here, and then just wait there until we're ready.
Okay, want me to do that now?
You can, yeah.
Okay. Want to take all my stuff?
Actually, wait till the case is called and the defendant is up here. So once the defendant is up here with his attorney and they call the case, then he'll grab Amanda. I don't like to be waiting in the gallery with you.
We need Paula, so just give me just a second on People versus Roy Seamster. How many witnesses do you have?
2, potentially 3. And as an aside,
You're gonna have your client come up and sit with you?
Mr. Singh?
Come on up, Mr. Seamster. And when you get up here, Mr. Seamster, you can take your mask off once you're appropriately social distance. If you want to, you're free to leave it on also.
Judge, is it okay if I drink my water in the courtroom?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once you sit down, you sit down right there.
And I'll have my phone out just in case.
I'm totally, listen.
Your Honor, as a preliminary matter, I apologize for this, but I was quadruple booked in Third Circuit this morning.
That's fine.
And one of those matters got moved to 1 p.m. I have a fear that particular judge is very upset with me already today.
At 1 o'clock, we'll be fine. We'll be done before 1. I have 2 other bench trials after you. We'll be done
If
before
we're not
1.
done by 1, I would ask the court allow me to take a break to log into Judge Cusick's.
And that's fine. I'll start my other bench trial if we run that far. And I imagine that these are not going to be lengthy witnesses.
I would hope.
And we have Paula, so. Thanks. People versus, I gotta wait for her to sit down.
Here it is.
Yeah. People versus Roy Seamster.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, Your Honor.
Come on,
Larry
good
King,
afternoon.
78774, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Teresa Patton appearing on behalf of Mr. Roy Seamster, who is present and to my right. Jury appearance on the record.
Oh, yes, Roy Seamster.
And Mr. Seamster, you can have a seat. Mr. King, are you ready to proceed?
Yeah, people are prepared to proceed. Just for the record, Your Honor, I've spoken with defense counsel before. My witnesses are sequestered in the
Okay.
hallway.
Go ahead and call your
Call
first
Miss Amanda
witness.
Seamster. Amanda, if you'll-
Come on up, ma'am,
Just for the record, I'm waiving my opening till later.
That's fine.
If ever.
if ever.
Yes.
And then just.
Come on all the way up here, ma'am. And once you get up here, I'm gonna swear you in, and then when you sit down, because you'll be appropriately social distance, you can take the mask off. Can you raise your right hand? Solemnly swear affirm the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I swear.
Have a seat, and like I said, you can leave the mask on, or you can take it off while you're seated. Go ahead, Mr. King.
Ma'am, could you please state your name for the record and spell your last name so the court gets it correct?
Amanda Seamster, Seamster.
Miss Seamster, where do you live?
410 Gale Boulevard, Melvindale, Michigan.
Okay. And how do you know the defendant, Mr. Roy Seamster?
It's my husband.
How long have you known him?
Almost 6 years.
Okay, and how long have you been married to him?
2 years.
The person that you know is Mr. Roy Seamster, your husband. Do you see him present in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you please tell the court where he's seated and what he's wearing?
To the left, wearing a sweater and a gray vest.
The record reflect identification?
It's reflected.
Ma'am, I want to turn your attention to April the 22nd of this year. Where did you reside at that point?
22006 Petite Street, Romulus, Michigan.
Okay. And was anybody living there with you?
Yes.
Who was living there with you?
My husband, my son, girlfriend, my grandson, and my other 2 children.
So Mr. Seamster lived there with you at the time?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that was in Romulus. Is that in the city limits of Romulus or one of the outlying townships?
I don't know that.
If my records indicated that was in Huron Township, would you have any reason to dispute that?
No, because we share a zip code.
You share a zip code? Okay. I want
The
to
court will take judicial notice of the fact. It's in the venue, the 34th, regardless. But the address is a mailing address of Romulus, but it actually is located in Huron Township.
just making sure venue's
Yep,
clear on the record.
absolutely.
Now, ma'am, I want to turn your attention to the afternoon of the day in question, April the 22nd of 2020. Were you home that day?
Yes,
And was anyone there with you that day?
yes.
Who was there with you?
My husband, my son's girlfriend, and my grandson.
Okay. Was there a Miss Grant there with you?
Yes,
Who is she?
that's my oldest son's girlfriend,
And what's her first name?
Tajani.
Did you have any interactions with the defendant that day?
With Roy?
Yeah, with Roy.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell the court about that.
We just got in an argument, you know, we're husband and wife,
So
arguments happen, and
where in the house did this argument
I
happen?
want to say it started in the bedroom when we first initially started arguing, and I think I went out into the kitchen to work on a puzzle just to try to get away from him.
Okay.
You know, 'cause he was angry, I was angry, and I was just trying to get away.
Okay, you mentioned Miss Grant was in the home with you. Where was she
She
during
was
this?
in the kitchen doing the puzzle.
So she was, okay. Did there ever come a time when your husband put hands on you?
I mean, he did push me back in the chair and was trying to get me to go to the bedroom with me, so he just grabbed my arm and I just walked back in the bedroom with him.
So let's break those things down. You said he tried to get you to go back into the bedroom. Where were you when that took place?
In the kitchen,
And what were you doing?
working on a puzzle.
And what, if anything, did he do? You said he tried to get you back into
Just
the bedroom.
grabbing my arm and saying, come back to the bedroom with me.
Okay. How did that make you feel?
Just uncomfortable, like I felt safer in the kitchen where everyone was at.
Did you want him to grab your arm?
No.
Okay. And what happened after that?
Eventually I just got up and walked back in the bedroom with him because I was like, I didn't want, you know, anything else to happen, so I was like, let me just go back in the bedroom with him.
So when you went back into the bedroom with him, who else was there, if anyone?
Just me.
Okay, and what occurred in the bedroom, if anything?
We just continued to argue,
Okay.
and I just kept telling him I wanted to leave, and
How did he react to that?
he didn't want me to leave, he wanted me to stay there.
Okay,
I can't even remember what we were
you're saying what
arguing
he
about.
wanted, but what was he doing or saying that made you believe he wanted you to stay there?
Because he had a pocket knife in his hand, and I felt like he was trying to like intimidate me with it, like
Was the knife folded or unfolded?
unfolded.
Okay, how was he using the knife?
He just like thrown it around his hand.
Okay, did he ever point it at you?
No,
How did that make you feel?
just uncomfortable.
Okay, now you had mentioned earlier that he pushed you. Can you tell the court when that happened?
That was just in the kitchen when I was sitting in the chair doing the puzzle, and he kept telling me to get up, and I don't want to get up, so he pushed me back in the chair and was like, "You're not gonna get up," and I was like, "No."
Is that before or after he led you in, or you went into the bedroom?
Before,
Is that before or after he grabbed your hand?
before.
Okay. How did this encounter in the bedroom end?
I had ended up calling my youngest son, or my youngest son called me, and he was like, "What's going on?" I said, "I'm just trying to keep Roy from hurting me," and he said, "I'm on my way," and then Roy and my oldest son went to go get my younger son, and that's when I called 911.
So did he leave the bedroom voluntarily?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that before, after, or during this phone call with your son?
After.
So he was present when you told your son what? Again, I'm sorry.
My son called and was like, "What's going on?" And I said, "Nothing, I'm just trying to keep Roy from hurting me."
And Roy was there when you said
Yeah,
that?
and he said, "I'm on my way," and then my son said he was gonna beat Roy up.
Was this on speakerphone?
I don't know if it was on speakerphone or if it was just, you know, loud enough for him to hear it. I can't remember.
So it was after that phone call that Roy left the room?
Yeah, and my oldest son left
And ma'am, were you in fear for your safety?
at the time, yes.
And you said you called 911. Why did you call 911?
just because I didn't want anything to escalate into worse, you know, like he didn't hurt me physically, so I just felt like if I called the cops, I could leave, or he could leave, and we could try to talk it out, you know, another day.
Ma'am, those are the questions that I have for you right now. Thank you, the defense.
Ms. Patton?
Yes, Judge. Is it okay if I stay here as long as I
Yeah,
talk about it?
absolutely.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Singster. Just want to ask you a few questions. You said that at the time you spoke with your son, at that point, Mr. Singster hadn't hurt you physically. Is that what you just stated?
Yeah.
So would you say that there was no assault at this point in time, but you were trying to keep one from happening?
Yeah, that's basically.
Objection, Your Honor, that calls for a legal conclusion as to assault.
She can, it's her, well, any physical touching.
Yeah, I mean, he grabbed me, but he didn't physically hurt me.
Okay, so let's go back to the grabbing. So at first you said you were in the kitchen sitting in a chair doing a puzzle, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said he pushed you back in the chair. So that can be interpreted quite a few different ways. Did he touch you or did he touch the chair?
He touched my chest.
Okay, and is this why he was talking to you?
Yeah.
Okay, you're already seated in the chair? So he doesn't push you back in a chair, right?
No, it's like a rocking chair, so like, you know, when he pushed me back, the chair just automatically went back.
Okay, so when he touched you, the chair automatically went back.
Yeah.
Do you feel that he was trying to hurt you at that point?
I don't feel like he was trying to hurt me, I just feel like he was trying to get me to go back in the bedroom with him because he wanted to talk to me, and I just, like I said, I didn't want to argue with him, so that's why I was like refusing to go back in the bedroom with him.
Okay, so at this point, you're having a conversation with him, he wants you to go in the bedroom, he touches you and the chair moves, if I'm understanding your testimony correct, because it's a chair that rocks back and forth. Okay, so he doesn't push you out of the chair or
No.
anything like that, right? He's not kicking you out of the chair or anything like that, right?
No.
Is he saying he's gonna hurt you at this point in time?
He just keeps asking me to come back in the bedroom with him and talk to him.
Okay, so he asks you to go back into the bedroom, you say you don't wanna go in the bedroom, correct? Okay, and you said that at some point he touches your hand?
Yeah, he grabbed my wrist.
Okay, and at that point in time, is he still asking you to come to the bedroom?
Yes.
How long did that exchange take place?
Probably like 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so he's holding your hand, he's asking you to come in the bedroom for 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And his hand is on your wrist for the entire 5 or 10 minutes?
No, not just, you know, he like grabbed my wrist and then I pull it away and then he grabbed my wrist again and say, please, you know, he's like, I'm not gonna argue with me, just come back to the bedroom and talk. And I was like, I don't wanna talk, I don't wanna argue with you. And then eventually he grabbed my arm and I said, all right, let's just go.
Okay, so it sounds like you're describing 2 times he pulled your wrist. So basically he leans down, he's talking to his wife, and he asks you, he touches your hand and he tries to get you to come to the bedroom with him, right? Okay, and you said you pulled your arm away and you said you didn't want to go in the bedroom, right? Okay, and then your testimony is that he next touches your arm again and says, please, correct?
Yes.
And at that point in time, what happens?
I finally just gave up because I didn't want to keep arguing with him. I didn't want anything to get physical, so I just went back to the bedroom just to see what he wanted to talk to me about.
Okay, so you didn't feel scared to go in the bedroom with him at that point in time?
I mean, I kind of felt scared.
Okay.
Because like I said, we were arguing prior to that, and I didn't want anything to escalate. So then I was like, you could talk. I kept telling him you could talk to me out here. But he didn't want to talk in front of everybody. He wanted to talk to me privately. So that's the only thing that made me feel uncomfortable.
Okay, can you describe the area that you're in? Is this a big house?
It's a trailer.
Okay, and how many people are in the room when he's trying to speak with you?
Just one.
One? And how many people are in the trailer altogether?
Including me and himself, and then my oldest son, my son's girlfriend, and then my grandson, but he was only one.
Okay, so about 4 other people in the trailer. Okay, so you go back in the bedroom to speak with Mr. Singster and the arguing continues?
Yeah.
Okay, and both of you are arguing at this point in time? For the entire time, were you both arguing? Were you both kind of talking to each other?
Yeah.
Okay. And in the bedroom, you mentioned that there was a pocket knife?
Yeah.
At what point do you see this pocket knife in Mr. Singster's hand? Does he have it in the kitchen?
I didn't see it in the kitchen.
Okay, so you get in the bedroom, and what is he doing with this pocket knife?
He was just like twirling around his hand, you know, like kept opening it, closing it, twirling his hand.
Okay, but he never pointed it at you?
No.
He never threatened you with it or with words, correct?
No.
Okay. And at the point that you said you were speaking with your son, correct?
Yes.
Is it true that your son actually called Mr. Singster's phone?
I don't remember which phone he called. I just know that he called and was like, what's going on? and I said, I'm trying to keep Roy from hurting me, and he's like, I'm on my way, I'm gonna beat Roy's. And then, that's when he's like, oh, okay, I got you, and him and my oldest son went to go get my youngest son for him saying that.
Okay, and how does the argument end?
Like I said, he just left out the bedroom with Tyler, with my oldest son, and then I called the police. And by the time he was coming back, the police were coming in.
Okay, so Mr. Seamster leaves the bedroom?
Yeah.
Does he leave the trailer altogether?
Okay.
Yes, okay. No further questions.
Mr. King?
Yes, ma'am. So we've talked a lot about this contact with your hand. Can you describe for the court exactly what he did to your hand?
He was just grabbing, like I said, grabbed my arms.
Okay, when you say grabbed your arm, what part of his body touched what part of your body?
His hand touched my wrist.
Touched your wrist?
Yes.
And how did his hand touch your wrist?
Just put his arm around my wrist,
Did
and then I
he-
pulled it away, and then.
Did he close his hand around your wrist?
Yes.
Nothing further.
You can step down, ma'am. Go ahead and call your next witness, Mr. King.
Thank you. Calling Tajani Grant. Can you grab Miss Grant for us?
Yeah, Janie.
She in the office?
She's in the room number 1 down the hall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She can stay if
Yeah,
she
you
can
stay
stay
if you'd
here.
like.
You don't have any
I don't
objection?
have objection to that, Judge.
What was her first name?
Her first name was Amanda.
No, when you're calling.
Oh, I'll have her spell it on the record. It's
Okay.
Tajani, Tajaunik.
Thank you. That was Grant?
Grant.
Thank you.
Come on up, Ms. Grant, all the way up over this way. And Ms. Grant, when you get all the way up here, if you could raise your right hand. Yep, solemnly swear affirm testimony you've given this matter will be the truth, so help you God. When you sit down, you can take off your mask if you want to. Or you can sit down. You can leave the mask on or you can take it off if you want.
Ms. Grant, if you can't hear me, just let me know. I know I'm quite far away. I have to try to speak up so Paula records me. Can you please state your full name for the record and spell your first and last name for the record of the court?
Middle name also.
First and last is fine.
Tajani Grant. Tajaunik. Grant. Grant.
Ma'am, how do you know Miss Amanda Seamster?
She is the mother of my father's son.
And do you know the defendant, Mr. Roy Seamster?
Yes,
And how do you know him?
she is her husband.
So you know him through Amanda?
Yes.
I want to turn your attention to April the 22nd of 2020. Were you present at an address 22006 Pettit Lane in Romulus or Huron Township on that day? Who lives there? Who lives there?
It was Amanda, her 2 sons, her 3 sons, and Roy.
One of those 3 sons being the father of your child?
Yes.
So what time were you there that day?
I don't remember the time, but I was there the whole day.
Okay. Was Amanda there with you?
Yes.
Was the defendant there with you?
Yes.
Did you have occasion to witness any interaction between the defendant and Ms. Seamster?
Just playing a puzzle, and the only interaction I witnessed is the touching of the arm.
When you said we were playing a puzzle, who's we?
Me and Amanda
And where in the home were you doing that?
in the kitchen.
Okay, and did there come a time when the defendant came into the room with the 2 of you?
Yes.
How was he acting at that time?
He wanted to talk to her
Okay, when you said he wanted to talk to her, what was he doing or saying that led you to believe that?
because he wanted to talk to her privately into the room.
Okay. Was his voice raised?
No.
And what, if anything, do you recall happening after that?
I just recall her going to the back with him and then her coming back after a couple of minutes and then sitting down.
Did you ever see him make any physical contact with her? Did you ever see him put any part of his body on any part of her body?
Yes.
What exactly did you see?
When he had her arm to the back.
Okay. You said he had her arm to the back and you did make a cupping motion with one of your hands. Can you tell the court exactly what part of his body was touching what part of her body?
Her right side and his probably left arm or right arm was touching her.
So you keep taking your hand to your arm.
Yeah, she just got up with him.
Okay. Did his hand touch her arm in the way that you keep demonstrating for the court?
Yes.
Okay. And how did she react to that?
At first she didn't want to go, then she did.
Okay. Well, you said at first she didn't want to go. What did she do that made you think she didn't want to go?
She said at her mom.
She said she did.
Yes.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Patton?
Yes, Your Honor, just a couple questions. Ms. Grant, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just to reiterate, you said that Mr. Seamster wasn't raising his voice when he was asking her to talk, right?
No.
Okay, and so when you said that he touched her arm, was he yanking her? Was this a forceful situation? Was he pulling her to the back?
It didn't look like he was pulling her. It looked like she followed him.
Okay. And you didn't see him like yanking on her or anything like that, correct?
But I did, his arm, he was touching her, but no, I did not.
Okay. And then it's your testimony they went in the back and you didn't see anything there, correct?
No.
Both came back up front?
Yes, first her and then him.
Okay, and what did Miss Amanda do when she came back up front?
We just finished the puzzle.
So she sat down and calmly finished the puzzle?
I don't really remember that much, but I remember us finishing a puzzle. It was so long ago, I'm sorry.
No problem. No further questions, Your Honor.
You can step down, ma'am. You're all set. Mr. King, any other witnesses?
May I just have one moment to consult with the officer on this
Sure,
case?
go ahead.
Just literally just one.
And then Ms. Patton, the other bench trial that we had set for today, I moved it with you.
To
I moved
December
it-
1st?
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm gonna confer to see if my client even wants to testify at this point.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You can talk right here. Put your mic on.
I have no further.
What was the name? The one you moved to?
The other one that was adjourned, Kevin Bottom.
There, it wasn't on today's docket.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't even have it on today's docket. You moved it last week.
Yeah, we had a witness issue with that case. No further witnesses, Your Honor.
She's conferring with her client.
People rested?
People rested.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly call Mr. Seamster to stand.
Come on up, Mr. Seamster. When you get up here, can you raise your right hand? Solemnly swear from testimony given this matter will be the truth, so help you God. Have a seat. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Thank you. Mr. Seamster, can you say your name and spell it for the record, and I'm gonna ask you to keep your voice up?
My name is Roy Seamster, Seamster.
Okay, Mr. Seamster, do you know someone by the name of Amanda Seamster?
Now, that's my wife.
Okay, I want to take you back to the date of April 22nd, 2020. Did you live with Ms. Seamster at that time at an address of 22006 Petite Lane?
Yes.
All right. Did anything unusual happen on that day? Did you have an argument with Ms. Seamster?
Okay.
Okay, you've been sitting here, so you hear that there was some touching of the body and a chair moving. Can you explain that? Explain this chair that we're talking about, just briefly.
We have reclinable chairs that I got from my job in the kitchen. They recline when you sit in.
sort of like what you're doing in the court right now?
Right.
Okay, just for the record, the chair is moving back and forth.
I noted.
Thank you. And so at some point, did you touch Miss Amanda's body?
Actually, I leaned into the chair and she went back.
Okay,
That's when my phone rang, and her son called my phone, put it on speakerphone, and that's when that conversation she was talking about happened.
okay. So are you trying to get Miss Amanda to go into, or Mrs. Seamster to go into the
Yes.
room with you?
Yes,
Okay, and at this point, she's a little reluctant to do that, correct?
she don't want to answer my questions.
Okay, so she didn't want to have the conversation?
No, she didn't.
Okay, and at some point, did you touch her arm?
Her wrist.
Okay.
She was walking, grabbing her wrist, please come talk to me, be debating back and forth. Back and forth.
So at this point, you're just trying to get her to stop and talk to you, correct? Do you have any intention on hurting her? Are you trying to put her in fear? Are you trying to assault her or batter her at any point? Are you just trying to have a conversation with your wife? Okay. And so at some point, Mrs. Seamster and you go into the room, correct? Okay, do you recall there being a pocket knife out during this conversation?
I'm a service tech, plus I do ship and receive. I have a knife, not a knife.
Okay.
Flick it out. So she talked about a box cutter.
And I note that she never said that it was open or
No,
that he
okay.
put it
That's what-
towards
that's-
her or whatever. There was no there was no testimony.
You know what,
to that
Judge?
effect.
Saying it like it's a
No.
knife.
No.
No further
I understand. Mr. King?
Thank you.
I have a question. What's the status, is there no contact still in effect in this case?
I believe so.
Yeah, there should be no contact order still.
Is there a divorce pending?
No.
No.
Just curious. Go ahead.
So I'm going to actually step over for purposes of social distancing. So Mr. Seamster, you were present at the address on Pettit Lane on April the 22nd of 2020 with your wife.
You say Adeline?
Pettit, Petite,
Petite
yes.
Lane.
and you were present there with your wife on that day.
Yes.
And the two of you got into an argument, correct? That was correct?
Yes.
And was that an argument about infidelity?
Well, the truth is coming out. Yes.
Okay. And you were present at this table is it in the kitchen?
Yes.
And she was putting together a puzzle?
Well, actually, I just got home from work.
And you asked her to go to the back room with you,
Yes.
correct? Did she tell you she did not want to go to the back room with you?
At first, because of the nature of the conversation. The nature of the conversation of me asking her if she's still cheating on me.
Okay.
So of course she don't want to answer me back.
So she's not answering your questions.
So I'm pleading with her to answer my question.
Did you ask her to go to the back room with you?
Yes, sir.
Did she tell you she did not want to go to the back room
Of
with you?
course, come to the back. No, I don't want to come to the back. Please come to the back. I don't want to come to the back. Just come to the back.
Did you
And she
grab her by
ended
the
up-
wrist?
Me grabbing her by the wrist. Let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, I asked you a question.
Because you asking me about the argument.
Okay, but I asked
But
you,
me
sir,
grabbing her wrist is
did you
something
grab
totally-
her by the wrist?
After I leaned her back in the chair, she gets up out of the chair. As she walked, I grabbed her wrist, babe, come to the back and talk to me.
And how did she react to that?
Of course she refused, and of course I pleaded. We ended up in the back,
How did you end up in the back?
because she agreed to go to the back.
After you had grabbed her wrist?
After we backed and forth pleading yes and no.
And you were in the back bedroom continuing the conversation?
Yes, sir.
And you did have your box cutter out during that conversation?
On my hip,
Not on your hand?
not in my hand. Just got off work.
Nothing further.
You can step down, Mr. Seamster.
No further
I
questions.
do
No
have
further
one other
witnesses.
question before argument. I mean, is the victim in this case still under that she doesn't want to have contact? What's the
I
status?
think she's better to talk to that than I
I
am.
never put that into order. They
Okay.
automatically-
I mean, what is your, what are you, is there a possible reconciliation in this case or not?
Yes.
Sit down. Argument?
Your Honor,
King?
the evidence has shown that the defendant made an unwanted touching, an offensive unwanted touching of the complaining witness.
Is it offensive? I mean, she
I don't
said,
think so.
this is my problem. She said, if he had done anything else, she said, I didn't really want to go, I just went with him. I mean, she was hesitant, she never said she felt afraid, she didn't want to talk to him, and now that we know what the conversation was about, I know, I understand why. But even the issue with the box cutter, she said he never, held it towards her. That's not part of the reason that this complaint. Yes, does he acknowledge, did he put his hand on her wrist? And she was hesitant. I don't know that she felt assaulted or in fear or anything like that. I mean, I'm struggling with that.
I understand, Your Honor, and I'd point the court to the jury instruction on point, if this were a jury trial, of a harmful or offensive touching. It's any contact with a person or something closely connected to that person, which is meant to offend or embarrass or
But
harm.
it's meant to, and that it does.
Right.
Okay.
She had told him she didn't want to come back to the bedroom. She did not want to. She pulled her hand away.
But is the prosecution's position that he meant to be offensive by saying, I want to talk to you?
No,
And I don't want to talk to you in front of your, the mother of your grandchild.
And obviously, I want to talk to you, please come back to the bedroom is not offensive. But when somebody says no, and then you grab their wrist and they have to pull their wrist away from you, I think that's an offensive touching. That's escalating the situation beyond words. So, Your Honor, I would ask that the court find that there was a harmful or offensive touching of another, physical contact between the two. It was against her will. She did not want to go with him. She pulled away from him. She did not want this contact. So, Your Honor, I do ask that the court find the defendant guilty of the offense of domestic violence.
Comment,
Judge,
argument?
This case is preposterous to me. This is her.
Not guilty.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, the no contact is
Restraining order
lifted.
is done.
It's done. Jamie, make sure that they lift the no contact.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But honestly, though, I appreciate her showing up. She showed up, let the system, and proved that it works.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
You may not feel that way right now, but
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm gonna do a bench trial, Paula on Zoom, and then we have a live bench trial with,
All their parties are here.
I have to Zoom, so I'm going to stay in the building.
you're fine.
And then I need
Thank
to
you.
talk to you and Paula about that matter with the clerk and
Yeah, Paula, if you
Trans-
could get with Mr. King about the transcript that
But
he was looking
unfortunately,
for
if I don't
from
get on
Mary
the
Ann.
Judge Cusick's courtroom in the
All right,
next couple of
yeah,
minutes, I'm
okay,
going to be in
thanks.
The
trouble.
mock trial for tomorrow was
Yes,
canceled.
yes.
Okay.
I guess
was
a
gonna
few
give
of the
Leanne,
kids-
still trying.
All right, Miss Manarino, I'm jumping. People versus Nurses Visitsu.
Good
Good
afternoon.
morning. He's representing, Mr. Visitsu, you're representing yourself, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Sorry, I had the volume all the way down because I'm jumping, obviously you could see back and forth. Miss Manarino, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and call your first witness.
Your Honor, the people call Bob Queener.
And Officer Queener, can you raise your right hand? Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Go ahead, Miss Manarino.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Queener, can you state your name for the record, please?
Bob Queener, Ordinance Officer, Animal Control for Van Buren Township.
In your capacity as an ordinance officer with Van Buren Township, I want to draw your attention to February 7th of 2020. Did you have occasion to be at 47278 Renee Drive in Van Buren Township?
I did.
While you were there, did you observe anything that caught your attention?
Yes, there was a 2001 Chrysler Sebring that was gold in color. And when I was checking the plate was expired and the car had flat tires on it.
Based on those observations on February 7th of 2020, did you take any action?
Yes, I sent the homeowner a violation notice through the mail.
And did that violation notice indicate, or what did that violation notice indicate?
It gives you 5 days to correct the issue that you were sent the notice for.
Did you have occasion to re-inspect that property at a later date?
I did. I was there on 3/2 of 2020 and found the same car in the same.
What was the date of the initial, what date did you initially go?
2/7.
2/7?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And so on March 2nd, you had occasion to re-inspect that property?
Yes, and I found the car in the same condition that it was on March 7th, or February 7th, I'm sorry.
And based upon that, you issued the citation that brings us to court today?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Vizito, do you have any questions that you want to ask the ordinance officer?
I tried to call him and see what's going on. Let me explain you why I'm here.
Well, I'm going to
today.
let you explain in a minute. Right now, just if you have any questions that you want to ask him.
No, I don't want to ask him anything.
Pardon?
No, I don't want to ask him anything.
Okay. Any other witnesses, Ms. Manarino?
No, Your Honor, people rest.
Mr. Vizito, do you want to make a statement?
Yes.
Wait. Can you raise your right hand? Soundly swear affirm testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, tell me what happened.
The citation is saying we received this on February 7, but I got it in my mailbox on March 1st. That's the only thing. I can prove it. I can't. I sent my wife, because I'm a truck driver, I wasn't home. I sent my wife to the cities to see what's going on, why we got this citation. They told her the Mr. Bob is not in the office, just came another day. And I know the citation says I have 5 days to fix the problem. I got home on Tuesday. I do have a receipt from my towing guy. He picked up the car.
Did they remove the vehicles after that, Ms. Manarino, I take it?
Bob?
Yes. Yeah, the car is no longer in the driveway.
Did he reach out to you and say, I just got this?
No, I never got any voicemail or anything like that.
I tried a couple times to call you. You can ask the ladies from the city. I tried to talk to you. I left you a voicemail. You never get back to me. And I was like, okay, if you want to go to court, we go to court and that's it. Believe me, I don't have a problem paying off the ticket, but I just want to tell you and let you know that I tried. I got the citation on February. But,
I understand. Ms. Manarino, do you have any questions for him?
I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
I do have a question, Ms. Manarino, because Officer Queener just testified to the unlicensed vehicle. We have this misdemeanor case that's talking about creation of a nuisance. I didn't find any testimony on that.
The nuisance is relative to the status of the vehicle having the flat tires.
Well, except that you're already writing them for the civil infraction. Any argument?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Vizito, I'll find you not guilty on the misdemeanor case. But I'm going to find you responsible on, well, you wrote the two unlicensed, both of them are from unlicensed vehicles. They're the same type of ticket.
One should be unlicensed and the second should be blight, but they are, generally for the same violation.
I'm only going to find you on the unlicensed vehicle, find you responsible. It's $180 ticket. Can you pay that within 2 weeks?
I can pay you right now. It's not a problem. Like I said, this is not the problem. I didn't know it's on my driveway. The car was on my driveway. It wasn't on the street. I didn't know it has to be
I
licensed.
found you not guilty I found you not guilty on the misdemeanor and on the, can I get back? And on one of the civil infractions, but I'm going to find you responsible on the one. So it's $180 and just pay that within 2 weeks, okay? And you can pay it online and then you'll be done with us, all right?
Okay, pay online. You're gonna send me a link.
Just
or
under your
something?
name. You can pay it online. Pull up your name and pay $180 and we'll apply it towards that ticket, okay?
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
and you're all set. You're welcome. Thank you. Have a nice day, everybody.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you. Bye-bye.
I'm ready on one floor. So get everybody, get Paula too.
guys, gonna go? Yeah. All right, I'll let her know.
So how do we do this anyway? All right, you're gonna sit over here, with your guy over here, the defense attorney prosecutor's gonna sit over here, you're gonna be over here, sir.
I'm over there, okay.
You're on the left, he's on the right, you'll be sitting here, sir.
My officer in charge sits next to me.
Yep, you guys your little split screen.
Pete, come on in. People versus Nicholas Leffler. Mr. Young,
Yep.
on behalf of the people?
Yes, on behalf of Sumter Township, I'm waiting for, police officer right now.
And Mr. Day, on behalf of Mr. Leffler?
Correct, Your
This
Honor.
goes up front, Jamie.
Okay.
And as your social distance where you're at, you can take your mask off as long as you're standing there. When you go to move, you've got to put it back on. Are you ready to proceed?
Yep, we just went to get the other police officer. Who's he here or no?
Yeah, he's here.
Go ahead and call your first witness.
Your Honor,
Call Ken Tony first.
preliminary matter.
Go ahead.
We had requested copies of the police reports in these matters, and we have not received those as of this time. I've been told they'd be sent over, but they haven't. We were also, one time my client was told that there was a videotape and,
Is there a videotape?
There's no videotape around here.
And pictures.
and pictures.
Are there pictures?
There's never any, we don't photograph things.
Will it take 5 minutes? I can have a copy of this.
That's fine. Do you want to, do you want him to make, you want to just
I'll
hand
make
me your
I'll
copy?
make a copy and that way.
You're not making a copy, hand it to Jamie Garcia.
Just one copy? Okay, no problem.
And then do you need 5 minutes then, Mr.
Yes, but
Day?
that could, Your Honor, please.
All right.
Like, please have a few minutes to
Yeah,
review
no,
them.
that's fine.
If you recall, I mentioned this when we set this hearing up.
I don't, and I didn't make a notation of it, so I usually do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can I go, where can I go to talk to my client?
Right across the hall.
Which,
In the first place, you don't, where do you think, you want to go with the police report?
yes,
Go into the open, where, the open glass area right on the other side of the
there was a fishbowl
hallway.
office.
As soon as you get the police report.
yes, okay,
Everybody else stay in here
okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Can I talk to my officers in here?
for 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. I mean, I want to get this, I want to do this. As soon as you get the police report.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hello, this is.
Oh, I don't know the code.
You know what? You know what?
Do you
I'm
know
in
the
college,
code,
and I'm on
Judge?
the bench right now. You're gonna have to call me back, all right? Okay, thank you, bye. Yeah,
Do you know the code to get in there?
no, I don't.
She doesn't know either.
It's 125, I think,
What's the status on the new courthouse?
and as soon as we're, probably
Rob,
in the next couple of months. I
try
think it's
125.
125. We're just waiting for them to do the final cleanup and stuff like that. Now you can go across the hall.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Quickly, though, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay,
Not,
thank you.
Mr. Jimmy, just hand it to him so that they can go across the hall and talk.
Thank you.
You don't want somebody to see that real quick? You don't want? Yeah, thank you.
Get it, the one that my dad just.
That's the one. Okay, give me the money later.
Which one do we still have to do then?
This is it.
Oh, this is it?
This is the only one. I did a Zoom bench trial.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
of a sudden all the attorneys are ordering all these
That's crazy.
transcripts. Yeah. Even Peter Beck did. He usually doesn't.
Officer Tony, you can come on up here, so when they,
Mr. Saligin, first, Your Honor.
okay, Officer Saligin, you can just come up here, so when they come in, we're ready.
What's your name?
I forgot.
Rob Young.
Thank you. No, one time it was so funny, we were doing an exam down there, and I just wanted him to say his name on the record because who was talking? He was giving the judge some info. So I said, what's your name? And he looks at me and he goes, like that. I said, no, for the record, I know who you are.
I thought you were trying to trick me into something.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about?
He had to think a minute who he really was. It was so funny though, he got all red and he was.
Is this a plea or
Like he whispers it real loud. And
I was thinking that right as you.
I said, I know who you are. I need it for the record.
Got the hand gestures going too. And I'm like.
So the trial was held?
Yeah, I've only
Yeah.
known you for 30 years.
Like, come on, spit it out.
I had that happen. Now there's a funny story. When first year I did, this is years and years ago, I did the Sumter Country Fest, the parade. And Helen Teal was a trustee?
What year did you start?
94, 95.
Yep, she was trustee.
And I was running the parade and she came up and I was trying to get groups and I'm like, she's like, well, where are we supposed to be? I'm like, I don't know, who are you? Meaning, what group are you with? And she was like, I'm trustee Helen. I'm like, I don't mean who are you? I know who you are. I mean, who are you? What group are you walking with? You know? She was so offended that I didn't know who she was. And I'm like, I know who you are. Just don't know what
It
group
is
you're with.
amazing how these local politicians get.
We're
I don't
live.
care How some of them get offended if they're not recognized in a crowd, and it's happened out here at the.
Can I tell you something? I'm
They're
happy when I'm
celebrities.
not recognized in a crowd. When I'm at the grocery store, the last thing I want is you to recognize me.
Well, I never,
Because
recognize-
people
I
come
always
up-
pretend like I don't know
But
the judge.
people come up to me and say, oh, I was in front of you, and what am I supposed to say? Was I nice to you? That's what I always say. Was I nice to you? Did I treat you okay?
One night a kid
I'd rather
walked up
not
to
be
me.
recognized.
One night a kid walked up to me in the grocery store and he goes, I know you. And I said, oh, you do? And he goes, yeah, you're the lady that yelled at me today at court and told me if I didn't sit down and shut my mouth, you were going to have me escorted from the building. I said,
A long time
"Well."
ago, after when I was living in my old house, I hadn't been here that long, and I had pizza delivered, and the first words out of the kid's mouth were, "Hey, I'm on probation." Do you?" I said, "Great."
You didn't
Driving
spit in
the
my
car.
pizza, did you?
Do you remember the old judge that was in Taylor? It was Sutherland, and it was.
Nasita. Judge
I'm trying a
Nasita.
case in front of him when I was a young lawyer in a civil case, and I had this habit of saying, now, Mr. Saligin, I was cross-examining the guy, I'd say, Mr. Saligin, now you and I have never met before, no. In fact, the first time we've spoken to each other is right now, isn't that right? Yeah, so we would have no reason to understand either the questions I'm gonna ask you or I just go on this whole thing and try to, so in other words, I'm telling the jury, I'm gonna hear this for the first time, you are. Well, about the third time, I said, oh, Mr. Saligin, we've never met before, have we? Yes, we have. And he says, do you want me to tell you where? And I said, no, don't do that. Nasita says, I bet you never asked that question again. And he says, was that a lampshade moment? or
Yeah.
what, I said, Judge, thank you for saying that in front of the jury too, by the way.
Will you do me a favor, Officer Tony? Go across and knock on Mr. Day and say, "Time's up." Tick, tick, tick. We're going.
How many of these are you getting live?
I did a couple today, not a lot.
2 a week?
Well, I'm doing a ton of felony exams live.
Oh, okay.
I had 9 yesterday or 8 yesterday and another
What do you do,
5.
separate them out there? in the hall?
I schedule them every half hour.
Oh, okay.
You can't have all those people in the building. You have to schedule them at staggered times. So I had felonies from 9 a.m. until 1:30 yesterday or something like
Wow.
that. And same thing today. I
You run one
started
after another then, you try to get?
every half hour. They coming?
Jamie's grabbing him. He caught me going over there and said, "Oh," so he's in there right now getting them.
Yeah, so we schedule them staggered.
John, tell you what I said when he went in there to talk to you? I said, you guys better play nice. Don't make me come in there and smack you around.
No, he's fine.
All right, going back on the record on Nicholas Leffler.
Robert Young, on behalf of Sumter Township, Your Honor.
Mr. Day, you had time to speak to Mr. Leffler and go over the police report?
I have, Your Honor, and there's a bit of confusion here.
Okay.
My review of the court records indicate that, and the police report that we were handed today describes an incident on 6/2/19.
That's, I have a August 29th of 19.
Correct, Your Honor. And so that's the report that we have, and
Is there more than one incident?
not that we're aware of, Your Honor.
No, I meant,
But-
I was asking the
Oh, all right.
officer, since I imagine it's his report.
Yes. But I was going to finish.
Go ahead.
This case was, the case that was cited on 6/2 was dismissed by this court on 8/29 of 19.
Probably because they issued this, did you change the charges?
I believe what originally happened was that on the original citation that was issued, there was no, the local ordinance box or local box wasn't checked.
Right, and so we kicked the ticket back, you guys dismissed it and reissued, and you reissued it as of that date, which was August 19th, although the incident date is still the June 2nd. So technically, this ticket needs to be amended to reflect June 2nd. Because the June 2nd, do you follow me what happened, Mr. Young? Is that when they sent the ticket over, there was something wrong with the ticket, we kicked it back. They reissued it, so we dismissed the ticket. They reissued it, but they reissued it with the effective date of August the 29th, when it should have been, what was the date? June the 2nd. So there needs to be a motion to amend the date to the.
I have a different understanding, but just to comply, so moved.
Well, is that your understanding that what happened?
Something along those lines, yeah, yes.
My understanding was the ticket is dated the date that it's issued. The fact that the incident occurred before that time.
Most of the time, that's true. With civil infractions, it's a little bit more difficult because if it goes on your driving record, that's the date of the offense. So when you issue the ticket and you issue a different date, I'm going to take a drunk driving, for example, that's supposed to be the date of the offense for traffic tickets. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so most things in life, I agree with you that there might be a variance, but on an appearance or a traffic ticket, the only date you have is the issuance date, which technically is because it says that on or about, and in this case, he wrote August the 29th at whatever, this is what happened. So it can't be, you know what I mean? It should be the date that you're saying that on that date, and nothing happened on the August 29th date, so it should have said June the 2nd. Because if you look at he's swearing to the ticket, I declare under the penalty of perjury that the statements are true. And above it says that on August 29th, that Mr. Leffler had an ORV on the driveway and a careless driving. That's clearly not true. He issued the ticket then. It should have been backdated to the June the 2nd. That's why the amendment.
All right, so
Your
move
Honor,
to amend.
we moved to dismiss the charge because the point being, this particular citation was dismissed back in August.
It was dismissed by us.
It was dismissed either way. And then the ticket that was then reissued to him said the occurrence took place on August 29th, when in fact it was a different
And
date.
he's amending it to
But
say.
I never got the report until today of the incident that took place on the 2nd.
He's amending the ticket to June 2nd, which I'm gonna let him do.
Okay.
If you want an opportunity, and even if we dismissed it or they dismissed it, they're without prejudice unless there's a witness sworn or until the jury's sworn in. So they have the right to do that. I do that on felony charges 24/7.
I'm not suggesting you can't amend it, Your Honor, but
And so-
what I'm telling you is I would like, because again,
And
the facts of the case.
wait, hold on, let me finish. So if you're saying that it's more complicated than you are able to proceed today, I will give you an adjournment.
Thank you.
Not a dismissal.
Thank you.
Mr. Young?
No objection, if that's the case. Okay, move to amend to reflect the incident date being.
June the 2nd.
And as it relates to the request for adjournment, in light of what transpired today, I'm not going to object to that.
I guess you can step down.
And what I want to make certain, Your Honor, is that there's not any other police reports, because when my client was here earlier discussing the matter with the officers, with the prosecutors, he was being told that it was a different factual scenario that was in the report that we read today.
I wasn't part of that
I know,
conversation.
that's why I'm saying it one more
Do you know anything
time.
about it, Mr. Young?
Your Honor, since this happened in
June.
2019, I probably talked.
I thought he meant recently. I thought he was, you're talking about way back then.
Way back when this case was in August, he was, or earlier in
No,
this year,
yeah,
20.
Yeah, this was.
He was
earlier
in
this
here, and there was discussions about this when he was not represented by counsel.
Right.
And they were recounting what he was charged with doing in terms of the facts of the case, which were described to him much differently than what's appearing on this report that we're given today.
Well, the only thing that I can do is give you an opportunity to look at the report and go
And
from
make sure
there.
there's no other reports.
And I won't, I'll take from their representation today, Mr. Day, that if there is another report, it's not coming in.
Okay.
That we're sticking with this report, they're representing that there's no other report, so it is what it is. For purposes of this case and this trial and whatever happened on June the 2nd of 2019.
Thank
I
you.
just wrote 2020. See,
And
I'm gonna mess you guys up again.
Okay. We may be bringing witnesses in for this thing, Your Honor.
So I have. I could do it, I'm sentencing and violations on, yeah, my docket is kind of a mess. Trying to find a place where I can do live, that I don't have a bunch of felonies. I'm pushing it to the end of October, to the end of November, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I have a November 30th date that it would be at 11
That's fine.
on Monday, the 30th of November.
11 o'clock?
Mr. Officers, are you guys good? Any vacations or anything?
That's fine for me. Good night.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a Monday, right?
It's a Monday at 11. I have sentencings and violations from 9 to 11 that day. So if we did this at 11, that would be good. I'll adjourn the bench trial to November the 30th at 11 a.m. And then if you have witnesses, just have them come on that day.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right,
You
thank you.
too. Can we go up to the counter? I have another
No.
matter that, well,
You cannot go to the counter. What do you need?
I have another matter that Mr. Young and I were working on. That's what we talked about.
There isn't anybody working at the counter. We don't have people
Okay.
coming in, so you can't.
I'll talk to him about it and maybe I'll run down. I think it's an easy fix.
That might be, but there's nobody to wait on you at the counter. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If
We just don't know
there-
how to get a fixture on, that's all.
Oh, that's fine.
I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, I was just saying if you walk up front, there isn't,
I'm so
nobody up there.
I'm
We
just doing
don't.
things the old way, Your Honor.
Yeah, even paying a ticket or whatever, you're not even allowed in.
I know.
11 o'clock now next time. time, because he was here this
I
morning
know.
early. Thank you,
You want me
ma'am.
to shut down then?
Yep, shut down, we're good for the day. Thanks,
Thank you.
Paula.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
You're welcome.
Yep, you're welcome. Good, have a good day.
John, give me a second.
Yeah.